Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to another episode of the Science of Soul podcast, where we look at the world through a scientific and Islamic lens. Now, this episode I'm really excited to share with you because me and Abdin, we talk about a subject that we're really passionate about, something that's been in the news recently but hasn't been given so much attention because of all the other things that are happening in the world, but something that we think can really inspire and bring us out of this period that we have just experienced. So, what is it? We are talking about space travel, space exploration, and specifically Muslims in space. There's a really cool episode. I think you're going to love it. I think it actually brings light to an area which a lot of us didn't even realize, was the case. I didn't realize that there was as many Muslim astronauts, Muslim people in space as there are, as we discuss in this episode. And before we get into it, I'm going to very kindly request you guys, please like and subscribe to the video. Please do share this with your friends and family. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, then leave us a review. And subscribe on whichever podcast platform that you're listening to this on. Okay, let's get into it.
Forget that small talk, bruv.
Allow the small talk.
Allow the small talk, bruv.
All right.
Let's get into it, innit? Tell us the anecdote. Tell us what we're talking about.
All right. So I've got an amazing anecdote. And what's amazing about this anecdote is just how unexpected it is and how I'm so ashamed that I did not know this story. So let's start in a funny order, okay, to really get the impact of the story.
Oh,
That might tickle your taste buds. I'm excited because I love this subject, and I think I know you love this subject, so I'm really going to enjoy this. So we're going to start somewhere kind of dark and kind of sad. In 2012, we all know the conflict in Syria started, and so an old man in his 60s with his family was trying to figure out how to get out of the country. Like thousands, like millions actually now that we know. It's 2020 now, and we know the full extent of what that conflict resulted in. Back in 2012, an old man was trying to figure out, how am I going to get out of Syria with my family safely? So he made a few attempts and decided that those attempts were going to be too risky, and he waited and tried again. It's too risky, waited, and then he tried again, too risky. Now imagine this person is someone who has a decent rank in the Syrian government, and so for him it's a big deal, and it's dangerous that he's trying to get away.
Is he trying to get away from the government, or is he trying to
get... Yeah, he's trying to get away from the government, and also from the rebels. Even though he's and also from the fact that war is breaking out now. This is like now when people are really losing their lives. So on the fourth attempt, the man successfully gets into Turkey, like millions of other Syrians, and that's where he starts living, in a part of Istanbul which kind of gets famous for being known as Little Syria. And I've actually been to this part of Istanbul, and I've met a lot of the people who've come over from Syria to take refuge in Turkey. So after a few years of the war going on and people finding out, this man came over, reporters came to ask him about his life and about his experiences of leaving Syria. And so he spoke about his sadness, about the fact that he had to leave his homeland, and about the fact that Russia is playing a huge part in this horrible tragedy that's unfolding. Because in 1985 he had to leave his home country once before. In 1985 he left to go to Russia to train to become a cosmonaut. Yeah. And when he left back then, he was a Sunni, and he was sent by the Syrians with a team of a number of other Syrians who were from different backgrounds. Some were Alawi, some were Druze. So the Alawi, we know, they are the people who are the main constituents of the government, of the Assad regime. They're Alawi people. The Sunni people make up about 80% of the country, but they are not in, in the main core government positions that run the country, although they held positions throughout. So he's a Sunni. So when he went, he was a fighter pilot. When he went to Russia as part of a program where the Syrians were sending pilots over, he thought, there's no way, I'm going to be able to qualify for anything beyond, just this training program. In fact, the Assad regime, not Bashar al-Assad, but Hafiz al-Assad, the father, he sent a delegation to make sure that, the Alawi guys were going to be the ones who, after training, got the final job. So the training went on, and slowly it became clear that not only was this man fantastic at what he was doing, the Alawi guy had a health condition that prevented him from being part of the final mission, and the Druze guy was also not going to be cut out for the job. And so the Russians overruled the Assad regime delegation and said, no, he's the best person. So in 1987, he was the second Muslim and the first Syrian to fly into space. And he is the first person to ever take a bit of, excuse me, it sounded like I was going to cry then. He was the first person ever to take a bit of Earth's soil into space. And that bit of soil is from Damascus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
and he left it there, or is it?
I think he took it to the Mir space station and then left it in the space station. But obviously the space station's been decommissioned since then. So he took this little sort of memento of his homeland up into space, and he spent approximately 7 days and a number of hours and I think 5 minutes in low Earth orbit in space in the Mir space station, and he had some profound experiences, like we know when we've heard Neil Armstrong's accounts and all the other astronauts who've been, their accounts of being out in space. It's been transformative, it's been life-changing. I mean, of course it would be. So he came back, and the government was kind of very jealous of the fact that he was now getting so much attention, and so he was just tucked away in a little corner with pay but no real rank or job or anything like that. But he was very, very emphatic in his effort to try and get some science and astronomy programs started in Syria to inspire the next generation. The government completely shut it down. They weren't having it. So many years later, the protests around the Arab world started, the Arab Spring, and he saw that there was a potential for some change. And so him and his wife started joining in. But now, as things started getting more and more dangerous, he had to leave. So now we kind of come back to where we began in Istanbul, where reporters are coming to ask him questions. And so, they asked him, how does he feel about everything that's going on now with the war and with all this destruction and loss and tragedy? And subhanAllah, it's just so inspiring and amazing, like what he had to say. So firstly, he just spoke about how when he was up in space, he realized that the Earth is just one ball. There's no gates and there's no borders, and you can't see anything. It's just we're all one family. Those are his words. That from up there, he couldn't see any visible marker for why one group of people are here and one group of people are there. He took pictures of Syria from up there, and those were his observations. So he's still hopeful that there can be reconciliation, and the fact of his life experiences kind of gives me that hope as well. That it is possible. So that is the story of Muhammad Faris, the second Muslim cosmonaut, astronaut, second Muslim in space. And yeah, I discovered his story recently, and I was just...
That's actually pretty sick.
I was blown away.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. So I've spoken for ages, and I'm gonna ask you some stuff, but just to give context to why I think that story is so amazing is because for me, space travel and exploration symbolize that part of the human spirit, which is about going out into the beyond, discovering, but then also recognizing something about ourselves and about where we come from. Because most of the great revelations of space travel come from when you turn the cameras back onto Earth, and you get that observation. So that's just one of the cool things that excites me about space travel and why I've been wanting to talk about it. And I know you've been wanting to talk about it as well. So what do you like? What gets you excited about space travel and inspires you about it? Like, I know you love it. Like, growing up, we've always been obsessed with space documentaries or space movies. Like, we went to watch Interstellar together.
Yeah, Interstellar is probably one of the best experiences I've had of space travel.
Me too.
I was just sitting on a cinema chair. But I think obviously I've always fantasized about space and, looking up and you see a dot and it's Venus and you're like, wow, that's Venus, and it's just a little dot. And it doesn't mean it. I mean, you can't see anything apart from a little dot, but it just, the fact that you're looking at another world, another planet, is very, very exciting. And I think one of the best, I have to say, best experiences I have had of space is Interstellar. The scene when he's leaving his family and music ramps up and it becomes so intense, and it kind of, for me, it translates to this world being chaotic, mad, crazy. The feelings that you experience here, and then it carries on ramping up, and then the spaceship takes off, and then suddenly it's in space and everything's quiet. That is amazing. I'm sure after being in silence for another 5 minutes, I'll be like, I want to go back home. But that was my best experience of space, and it's quite sad that it's through a movie. I wish it was more. I wish I was that one of those guys with SpaceX flying into space. But then again, I think to myself, it's amazing and everything, how quickly. I think Earth wouldn't. That's that's the interesting thing. When I watch documentaries or YouTube videos of the space station and everything, I can stare at the Earth for ages. But when you think about the rest of it, you just think, how quickly would I get bored of that?
It's just black.
I think it'll be pretty quickly. But yeah, when you look at the Earth, it's something different, and it's crazy because it's home, right? And I guess that is how you look at it, and that is how I look at it when I look at pictures, is that is home for me, and everything in it is home. And I think what that astronaut was saying kind of resonates with me, is that there's no borders and stuff like that. I'm not looking at it in that sense, but the fact that I've put everything inside the Earth as home, it kind of removes all those barriers, doesn't it? It removes the differences you have. And I've experienced that when I've gone like abroad, and I've gone to, I've been away from home, from England, and I was like, I just want to go back home. And you come home, and whether it's a black guy, whether it's a white guy, whether it's an Asian guy, he has the English accent, and there's a comfort.
Talk about the immigration guys.
Yeah, the immigration guys, the guys that look at you funny, even those guys, you're like, you're comforted.
I think the funny to use that analogy, the immigration guys of Earth is literally all of nature, like the penguins and the fish. Like, imagine the capsule coming back from space and hits the ocean. And there's dolphins, sharks. It's like, those are your immigration guys for coming back to Earth, which is home. I really like that idea of Earth as home. Is even more powerful now because of the fact that with all these commercial space exploration and space travel companies, like I think Blue Origin and SpaceX, more that is more prominent. it's becoming a reality that more and more people will be leaving at least Earth and Earth gravity, you know, and then coming back. And so the entire Earth, like how you're saying, the entire Earth becomes home, as opposed to, you know, like a particular house on a particular road and stuff.
It's that bigger picture, isn't it? It's crazy how easily we can experience that bigger picture. We don't even need to be intelligent, or, you know, we just need to, like for me, you just need to go abroad and you experience that bigger picture in terms of the country. And, you know, there is no diversity in England. For me, there is no such thing as diversity in England. When I go abroad, England is England, home. That is where I want to be, regardless of if I'm accepted by everyone or not.
Yeah. So, okay, would you, if the opportunity presented itself, you know, maybe next month, or maybe some time would be needed for trading. Okay, wait, let me ask the question.
Okay, go ahead, ask the question.
If SpaceX, Elon Musk, some representative from SpaceX came and said, hey, we need to send a Bengali guy, you know, we need to send a medic. Yeah. And you
I'll be a rubbish medic, but okay.
You're healthy and you're flipping love space.
Flipping love space.
You know, are you ready for the challenge? Would you go?
Of course.
To Mars?
Oh, for how long?
Well, I think it takes like 9 months to get there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would go to Mars.
Would you?
I would go to Mars, yeah.
And what if you had to be the first generation of people to colonize Mars? So there's no coming back.
I think there's more elements that we need to consider here, maybe off camera.
Okay.
But
because this is a conversation.
I mean, have you watched Martian?
Oh yeah, the Matt Damon movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I don't want to be alone on that planet.
No, you can have Netflix.
But still, Netflix gets boring really. I've been in lockdown on my own.
You've watched everything.
I've watched everything that
there is on Netflix.
Yeah. Okay. And now I'm judging everything by its cover.
Okay, you can have YouTube. YouTube is unlimited. Still. You can't watch all of YouTube. It's impossible.
Would you go to Mars? So, would you go to Mars?
It's of course it's a really hard question, but the thought of
for 2 years. No, actually, you don't. You're going to go to Mars. Yeah. You don't know when you're going to come back. Would you go to Mars?
See, that's the question, isn't it? I think I like how you put it first, and then you changed it. If you give someone a time frame, because I went to Leicester for 2 years and came back, I think I could do Mars. I could move to Mars and come back.
Because
Leicester's pretty far away from Reading. You know,
bruv, you can't get into your.
Have you been in my Touran? It's dangerous. Taking a 2-hour motorway journey in that vehicle is dangerous. I think it'd be safer to go to Mars and come back.
I think there's no comparison between your Touran and a SpaceX
the Dragon, whatever,
ship. All the ones that they have.
Yeah, the new ones look really good now as well. They look really cool, and it's a lot of it is automated. So you don't, like in the old days when they flew the Apollo missions, they had to like shift these levers and press these old school computer buttons, and now it's like just loads of iPads.
Yeah,
it's quite cool. Of course, I
think I would like the shifting, just because I'd be like, flying this rocket.
20,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, man.
Oh man. So you watched the SpaceX launch recently?
I know. I didn't watch the recent.
Oh, okay.
One. No.
So this is the one where they sent those 2 astronauts to the space station. Yeah. So that was kind of like big. That was a big news recently, a few weeks ago, and it was kind of like drowned out a little bit because of the fact that a lot of other, dark things are happening in the world. But I watched it. I was really excited by it, and it was just inspiring, to see people go back to space. Obviously, people have been going to space for a little while, and it's been mostly Russian missions. And I think what was exciting for a lot of people, especially the Americans, was that it was the first mission from America in a long time.
Yeah.
So, like that element is great for the Americans, and you can feel good for them. But what was exciting for me is the fact that SpaceX are now sort of becoming a bona fide, legitimate space exploration company, whereas before they were sending satellites and other equipment and they were doing commercial jobs. Now, although it's still kind of in that same area, but now they're taking people, astronauts. And the ultimate aim for SpaceX is to do, this is why I was asking, is to do that Mars mission. That's Elon Musk's kind of great ambition, is to get Mars colonized. It's, you know, it might not happen in his lifetime, but that's what he's working towards.
Okay, if you went to Mars, what would you take with you? You can take 2 things.
Okay, am I being funny or am I really
realistic?
Really? Okay, I'm thinking about this.
Yeah.
Okay, so after watching...
And then you can be funny.
Okay, after watching The Martian, it seemed like...
Poo, so don't use the toilet.
It seemed like some kind of like agricultural tool would be really important, right? Because he was
so,
like...
okay, what would you take? You can take one agricultural tool. What would you take?
Maybe just like a really versatile shovel axe thing.
I'll take a cow.
Okay, I didn't realize we could take something that big. Okay, I should have. I like how you're thinking. You went straight for the cow. You got your milk is sorted, your cheese is sorted.
Everything sorted, methane as well, creating an atmosphere. Those things fart a lot, bro.
Oh man, that's okay. All right. Yeah, you went straight in for it.
Okay, fine.
Can I rethink this thing? I can forget about that shovel thing.
So there's the shovel thing.
Talk to me. Picture myself on my side of Mars with a fork. Basically, a fork.
What are you going to grow with that?
Yeah, and you got a cow. You know?
Look at me. I'm walking my cow. What are you doing? I'm shoveling.
Actually, do you know what? The cow is, especially like a bull or something, that is a fantastic... Actually, you can't milk a bull.
Yeah, you can't milk a bull.
But why I say a bull is great, or a cow, a big strong cow, is because... So I'm reading a book at the moment, and it's called 50 Inventions That Changed the Economy. And the guy talks about if all of civilization was to end, what would be the greatest thing for you to have to get civilization restarted?
When I say cow?
It's close. It's a plow.
Plow?
A plow. You know.
So you're going to have to plow.
Yeah.
You're going to have to strap the plow on yourself and plow be the cow.
So linking it to your thing, I think if you had a cow and a plow,
I'll have to be the plow.
No. You have a cow and a plow, so you can have 2 things, bro.
Oh, yes.
Because you could kickstart, you know, agriculture and growing things, and assuming you're wearing a spacesuit and not breathing the air on Mars, you could actually maybe, like, after planting all the right plants and getting, you know, get your atmosphere going with the methane and whatnot.
Imagine a cow in a spacesuit. That'd be sick.
And also, like, you know how it's got a helmet for its head, it'd also have a helmet for the udders.
Oh yeah, and it'll be like, you
quick
know,
access.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll take an axe.
Yeah, that was my thinking, but now I want to take that back.
No.
It's just because you can do stuff with it, like, you know, like.
I mean, yeah. Okay, you can do
very minor terraforming. Very minor terraforming, and then the other thing I probably would take is so there's no water on Mars, right?
Yeah.
Although there is signs that there were rivers and stuff at some point.
Yeah.
So maybe I'd have to take some kind of water filtration system so that I could pee and drink and use that water.
Drink your own pee.
Yeah, obviously after it's been converted. So and then, you know, somehow reintroduce water on... I mean, I'm sure all of this is completely scientifically unsound, what I'm saying, but that's kind of my thinking.
You know the second thing I'll take?
Go on.
First thing is a cow. Second thing is seeds, bruv.
I was thinking seeds as well.
So what are you gonna do?
What am I gonna plant?
with your axe. You just got an axe.
Water and a spade and no seeds. But okay.
Well, they actually, you know what?
Have you heard of panspermia?
No.
Panspermia is the idea that...
Does it involve sperm?
No, it doesn't involve sperm. That you can...
Spermia.
Yeah, I know it's in the word. Yeah, sorry, I'll give you that. So panspermia is the idea that, you know, certain life on Earth was introduced from space through like meteors and comets. Like, for example, one thing that is a potentially like credible thing that came from space is mushrooms. Mushrooms is like, it's a very strange organism on this Earth, and if you were to put it on the tree of evolution, if you buy into that, then it branched off a long time ago. Such a long time ago that, you know, you can really see a lot of genetic difference between mushrooms and like literally everything else. So, you know, this is hoping for the best, but, you know, I'd be on Mars with my water and my spade, just hoping that panspermia helps me out.
Imagine that happens, but the comet lands so far away and it goes past you, and then it goes so far away
or it hits me.
You can't carry enough oxygen to get there.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
What would you do then?
You know what? This is the thing about space travel, is that you are completely, I mean, Allah is with you, you know, like you can make dua and you can pray for Allah's help. So Allah's help will come, inshallah, if He wills. But in terms of, you know, you are left, you know, when people say you are left to your own devices, in space, you are really left to your own devices. You have no help. So I think I would take kind of a fatalistic approach and just sit down.
Bury your head in the sand.
Yeah, in Mars sand, and just sit down and die. Or just, you know, mentally prepare myself that it's coming soon.
I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Okay, this is quite morbid, but if something happened and you know this is the end, would you kill yourself?
No, I don't think I could.
So you would just sit there?
Yeah, I would just sit and wait for it, because it'd just be too, like, I'm already distraught. Yeah. And now I've got to think about killing myself. No, I wouldn't do it. And it's a sin.
Fair enough. So you would just watch the sun go up and down.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how long is a Mars cycle, day cycle? I think it's about, is it close to Earth?
I think so.
Okay.
Don't have a clue.
All right, at least that's
it's weird,
the same.
huh? We don't even know that. And we think we're space.
Going to Mars.
Yeah.
I think after this episode, SpaceX is definitely not going to ask us to go to space.
Okay. If someone came down through this door right now and said, okay, Jubair, come on, let's go. You can't even use the toilet. Yeah. You're bursting to go to the toilet. You have to go right now. We're going to go to Jupiter, bruv.
Okay.
What would you say?
So Jupiter is like quite a scary planet.
Yeah, Jupiter. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a really scary planet, and the gravity on it is insane. And so I might be wrong, but I believe there's been a storm happening on Jupiter that is
the size of...
It's larger than Earth.
Yeah.
And it's been raging for over hundreds of years.
Yeah.
That sounds really scary.
It's mad. And it doesn't have a core. It's just...
Oh, wow.
A bowl of gas.
Does it get denser and denser as you go?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, that's insane. So is there even like a point where you could say land your craft and say this is the surface, or is it's kind of like a gradient of increasing thickness?
Yeah. So you land, and you'll just get crushed. crush.
That should be, you should do a song called Land. Crush.
You know, it's interesting, and it's a question that I have. How does Jupiter with the sun? What am I trying to say? Hold on. How does Jupiter not collapse on itself?
That's a good question. All right. So, now legitimately asking you this question.
Okay.
And we were messing around a little bit. If you had to do a 9-month journey to Mars, would you do it? Like, really, would you do it?
Okay. So, you know, my initial instinct, yes, I would do it.
Yeah.
Then I'll be like, oh my God, it's 9 months away from my family, away from Earth, away from water, away from chicken burgers. Can I do that?
Yeah.
And drinking my own urine. I would do it.
You would do it?
I would do it.
Oh man, that makes me so happy.
Because I would do it. But then again, it's not just 9 months, is it? It's 9 months there.
That's just on the spacecraft.
Oh my God. 18 months.
Yeah, that's just... That 18 months is just the journey.
2 years.
Yeah.
I would do it.
Okay, so
I'll just take loads of chicken burgers with me.
Like dehydrate them.
Yeah.
To pee on them to rehydrate them.
Would you do it?
Okay, so I've had this conversation with you before, and it's the reason why I keep coming back to this conversation is because it's one of those things where, okay, the possibility of it, taking that out, even though it's becoming more and more a likelihood that in our lifetime, if we really wanted to at least go into low Earth orbit, we could probably pay our way into low Earth orbit, right?
Yeah.
That aside, I love adventure, and even though I'm kind of like a reluctant adventurer, so all of the adventures I've done of doing Mount Everest to base camp and Kilimanjaro and stuff, they've been incredibly hard, you know, but they've been short, but they have been incredibly hard.
But imagine being on a plane for 9 months. Could you do that?
So this is it. That
and then
really hard. Yeah.
And then being on a featureless planet for
potentially years.
Yeah, or a few months.
Okay.
Featureless planet.
It is incredibly hard, and I would never in my life say I've done anything even remotely close to, even in the ballpark, as that difficult. But it's just so exciting because you would be pushing beyond any known limit or boundary that a human being has done before. Like people have been, I've not been to the top of Everest, but people have been to the top of Everest and they now can say we've conquered this, and we've whatever discoveries have come out of that.
If they come back alive.
That whatever discoveries have come out of that, I've been from A, curiosity, and B, a willingness to push harder and, just do the unknown. And that aspect of space travel just is so alluring and exciting.
You have the job. You can be a Martian.
Yes. I would do it. I mean, I probably wouldn't be allowed to do it for various health reasons. I wear thick glasses, stuff like that.
I got seasick.
Yeah, but there's
I know, but I'm sure.
Then space is fine for you. There's no water out there.
Do you think it works like that?
I don't know how it works, but I think you'd be fine. I think
because my inner ear is gonna go mad.
Haywire.
right.
Yeah.
I've been vomiting, and I couldn't. 9 months trying to vomit, vomiting. Yeah. You've seen me being seasick, right?
Yes.
It's horrific.
It's bad. It's not just bad for you, bro. It's bad for everyone on the ship.
I made everyone else.
we were fishing fish that were eating your vomit.
But you guys got it and ate the fish that was eating my vomit.
It's a cycle of life. But okay, so you.
And then I made everyone around me seasick.
Yeah. Yes, you did. You raise a really good point now, which I think would be a good segue to talk about something else interesting. So now that space travel is becoming more and more possible, one thing that as Muslims we have to think about is how we would actually, psychologically, mentally, physically
do the things we do.
Yeah, do the things we do and cope with a journey like that. And so one thing that's awesome is that our scholars, the alims and the alimat and the fuqahat, all these people, they discuss things that become within the realm of possibility. They have to discuss these things because they have to.
I love the way you start using your throat breath.
You have to. That's how you sound legit. So it's amazing that our deen, firstly, like whenever something is a thing that is a part of our consciousness, an answer has to be sort of found for it. I find that amazing, and it just shows how relevant Islam is. So a council of Malaysian scholars and international scholars and also scientists convened to try and figure this question out, because they're one of the Muslims in space was a Malaysian astronaut, and so they came to some conclusions about questions of how we would go about doing the things we do in space. So the things that a Muslim would have to do or think about is, firstly, clean yourself, because hygiene is incredibly important as a Muslim. And the other thing is prayer. Prayer is incredibly important as a Muslim. And then there's other things as well that is more human and less specific to a Muslim, like psychological well-being and things like that.
So how would you clean yourself? That's quite
okay. So I don't know. Have you seen? Yes, limited water, right? Yeah. And have you seen videos of water in? Yeah,
it's just
blobs. You have to, you got it.
And
takes on a whole new characteristic. Yeah, it would just fly away. So the scholars came to the conclusion that for things like that, you can use wet wipes. It's actually a really simple answer.
So you just wet it and then...
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not as clever of an answer as I thought, but actually it's an elegant answer.
Yeah, because, it's not just about, you have to be clean. It's more about, okay, you do have to be clean, but if you can't get clean, at least make the effort to be clean. Yes. Right, because we have tayammum and
exactly, and I think they also mentioned that tayammum is also an alternative in cases where you might have, say, run out of wet wipes or water is so scarce that you have to really protect it. And that's the beauty of the deen is, tayammum, the question for that has been answered a long time ago. So it's actually, it's quite straightforward.
I changed my mind about the cow.
You're not bringing a cow?
I'm taking a bodna. I think
No, you'd have to take a super soaker. Because it would have to have some thrust. You'd have to push it in a direction.
I think I have to do more thinking about this. Maybe not the seeds.
Have a proper think about it. Okay, so that's that question answered. Now the second question is, if you were going to do salah, they came to a conclusion, and it's super straightforward. What do you think it is?
Just the timing.
No, in terms of direction.
Towards the earth.
Yep, that's it. Qiblah is the earth.
That's sick, huh?
Yeah.
That is sick.
Yeah, so it's not
home,
different.
bruv.
Home, exactly.
That is where we belong.
You know, it's
Forget
amazing.
space travel, man. We don't need to go anywhere.
You just made this whole conversation redundant there. No, go on. What's your point?
I didn't have a point. I was just saying, home is home.
We're saying we don't want to go now.
Yeah, let's not go. Let's make this world a better place.
But you know what's nice about having the Earth as Qiblah is exactly that point of what a nice reminder of where you come from. You know,
where you belong. That is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, and the fact that you face that direction, the fact that you face that direction when you pray is such a beautiful, like, home is also your relationship with Allah as well. Yeah. You know.
But you know, when you come to think about it, it's such a weird, odd thing that we have a perfect planet which is going to mother us, which is going to nourish us, which is going to keep us safe.
Yeah.
But both of us, we want to go to a hostile, desolate, dangerous, no atmosphere, no water, drink your own urine planet.
Yeah. So, okay, so this leads on to
not appreciate
this leads on to another good question. And that is, and this is, I got asked this when I came back from the trip I did to Everest, is what's the point? Why would you do something like that? And I think that would be a great, like we spent a couple of minutes to actually explore that. Because a lot of people think that the money used on those kind of missions can feed loads of people, and it's really, like it's a poor use of money. Now, I think it would be a good thing to explore. I have different, I have varying views on it. But for you, why would you do that kind of?
I think for me, I would incline more towards it's a waste of money at the moment.
Really?
Yeah, I think I will.
Wow.
Even though I would love to go, I think it's an amazing thing to go, but I do think it's a waste of money, and I might be completely wrong. I think it's something that's not going to become a reality. I do not think that we will. I mean, it would be amazing if we do, and it's not a challenge or prove me wrong or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think that it will never become a reality of us going to Mars. Even if it did, not all of us be going there.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do think we should deal with the problems that we are facing. I know this is becoming a bit serious now, but
no.
I think we do need to, we can use that money and deal with the problems that we have on this earth. By doing so, we might not need to go to Mars. The whole idea of going to Mars, obviously it's interesting knowing where we live and where we are, but we already know that we're on Earth and we're in etc. But the thing, when we look at it, there's that fact that we know more about the moon than we know about our oceans, which we are destroying because we know we have become completely complacent of it. I think, I would go with that. I would go with that. That it is a waste of money in the sense that we could be using that money to probably save the oceans as opposed to trying to create one on another planet or look for one in another planet. We have one, and we have beautiful ones full of fish, fleshy, nice fish
that you want to eat.
So with even thinking about it as I was talking, everything started making sense and coming together. And I like at the beginning I was like, I'm probably inclined towards it. Now I think actually what I'm saying doesn't make sense. Although I would love to go to Mars, I think it's an amazing thing. And if we had excessive money, why not?
Okay, so what
about you?
Here's my view on it. I 100% agree with you. I think there are many number of problems that absolutely need dealing with, and the way I would approach it is like it's so difficult because how do you, like, the way that you answer that question, do you apply it retrospectively and retroactively to the space exploration that's been done before? So if you had the chance, would you go back historically? I'm not asking this, but if with that view, would you go back historically and then erase all the missions that were done prior and take all that money and put it into, say, some kind of charitable project?
I mean, if we're being realistic about it, Like completely really, obviously I have my feelings, but if we're going to talk about practicalities and realism, etc., no, because that money is not going to be used in that way.
No, I'm saying if you could.
If I could, yeah.
Yeah, see, the thing I would say no, and the reason is because firstly, the amazing thing is we've already been given really, really good mechanisms for doing charity. You know, like if you're a Muslim, you have zakat, but there's other areas that you can put your money towards. And the cool thing, like the really, really cool thing, specifically with space exploration and space travel, is that that's probably one of the few areas of science that has had such a massive impact on other technologies that actually help people in the long run. So for example, I know like at home, I'm not a very big proponent of my kids using iPads and the internet.
Oh, that part, I would agree with that part, like satellites and stuff like that. But I'm saying more towards going
colonizing.
No,
I'm talking about like space exploration and that endeavor of, you know, and that's part of it actually. You know, even that's still part of it, because sometimes you know we can say, oh, the mission is to go to Mars and that's the extent of it. But actually, all of the missions that have happened before, they might have had a singular aim, but out of those have come so many discoveries and technologies. Like when they try and innovate the technology to take a human being up there, they actually end up creating multiple other technologies that revolutionize the way that we are as human beings. So for example, the technology used to kind of chart weather and look at how that can be, even to the point where it can be manipulated. So that's amazing, because that can actually really, really help people, for example, who want to know if rains are coming, or if, for example, people want to know if there's going to be some kind of like catastrophe because of cyclones and storms. That technology is all linked very closely, and I know you know this, very closely to space exploration, but space travel. And so for me, there is that boyish excitement of, if we go to Mars, it'd be so cool.
I think it's still sensible. No, you know, it's not just the boyish, or you know, I just want to go.
But the discoveries that come from it
are huge. And
the other thing, and I know you know this as well, is that this is one of the few endeavors, scientifically again, that for me brings me closer to Allah and brings me closer to a realization of His majesty, of, you know, like the universe that He's created. Like we live on the earth, and you're right, we know more about the moon than we know about our own oceans, but even that says to me, like, wow, look at the greatness of His creation, that we, you know, as a species, we can barely like get to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And
well, it's probably because the moon, there's nothing on it.
Sure. And then when you talk about like our space neighborhood, we have not been to our neighbor. Like the moon is not our neighbor. The moon is
us.
It's a satellite. It orbits. You know, it's us. We've not been to our neighbor yet, and so it really, really reminds you of the grandness of Allah's creation. And you know, like when I think of, so if you want to talk about the first Muslim in space, and I don't know how correct it is to phrase it in that way, but if you think about the Prophet ﷺ, and when he communicated with Allah, it wasn't like how Musa ﷺ communicated with Allah through veils, like Prophet ﷺ actually had to make a journey, you know. And the beauty of the Isra and Mi'raj is that it was almost I'm scared to phrase
rocket
it,
light,
but it's almost an interstellar journey, intergalactic journey.
It is.
Isn't because he had to, like, when he described the journey, first he described going from his, where he was, to Al-Aqsa to lead the prayer, and then from there he went up. And the fact that he describes time, I find that fascinating. He describes time, and then he describes going from each from one heaven to the next heaven, all these things. It just, when I think about space travel, I'm reminded of that epic journey, and I'm reminded that to almost, this sounds crazy, but to go into space is to follow in the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ, you know, in that way, it's just absolutely epic. So that's how I feel about it. And I completely, this does not in any way take away from the fact that there are so many things. You're right. That's the lesson to be learned. I think it's the sentimental thing will be, let's spend more money on the earth. You know, but you know, I think on your point, backing up
what you're saying is, exploring Mars is a way that maybe we can save more of the Earth, because we believe that Mars had many of the things that Earth had many years ago. So studying Mars, exploring Mars, what had happened to the oceans, what had happened to the atmosphere could help us prevent catastrophes happening to our Earth. Absolutely. So I'm not completely. I mean, again, as I said before, if someone came through that door, not Bablu, but another guy, said, "Come on, let's go." Yeah. I would go. I would still go, even though I have that thing of, well, maybe we should send it on turtles instead of me going up to Mars. I'll be selfish and just forget the turtles, man.
So I just want to read the names of the Muslim astronauts who have been to space, and it's just, for me, this was quite it was quite inspirational, and it was quite eye-opening, because I didn't realize. And even like the other day we were talking to Adam. Adam.
Oh wow, is she an American Muslim?
I'll get to her. I don't actually know much about her, but remember we were talking to Adam, and he was like, he didn't even realize there were Muslims in space. And so just for that reason, I think it'd be cool to read out the names of these guys, and where they're from, and also when they went and stuff. So the first Muslim in space was from Saudi Arabia. His name is Sultan bin Salman Al Saud. He's from the royal family. I think pretty much everyone in Saudi is part of the royal family. So he went in 1985, first Muslim, first Saudi, and first Arab in space. And he went on a mission it was to do with an Arab satellite that he was the payload specialist as part of the mission.
He has a mustache.
He has a bulletproof mustache. And then the brother who I spoke about earlier, Mohammed Faris, the Syrian refugee brother. So he's an astronaut, and now he's a refugee. It's just what a turn of events. But he's from Syria, and he went in 1987. And then from the then Soviet Union, but now Azerbaijan, there was an astronaut called Musa Manarov. So now we've had a Muhammad in space, we've had a Sultan in space, and now we've had a Musa in space. And he went in December 21st, 1987, and then in 1990 again. So he went twice. And he spent 541 days in space.
Wow.
That's
almost
2 years.
Bored out of his mind, bruv.
In 1988, can you believe, brother Abdul Ahad Mohmand, I don't know how to say that, from Afghanistan went to space. So Afghanistan has had I don't think, by the way, just to spoiler alert, there's no Bengalis on this list. But there's someone from Afghanistan.
Afghanistan surprises everyone, right? It's one of the countries that can boast for having peace for the longest period of time.
Afghanis are solid.
Yeah.
If you're going to send a hardy stock of people,
I mean, instead of sending that first monkey and first dog to space
to test how harsh should have sent someone from Afghanistan, because they're so tough, it would have been fine. Okay, so then it was someone from Kazakhstan called Tokhtar Aubakirov, and he went in 1991. So now I'm going to kind of...
I was 1 year old. Oh, sugar.
Were you 1 year old at the time?
Yeah.
You've revealed it.
I've revealed it.
And then...
It might be a calling.
Someone from Kazakhstan again, Talgat Musabayev, and he went 3 times. He spent 341 days in space. And then from Kyrgyzstan, Salzan Sharipov, he went twice, and he spent 201 days. Then from the United States, but she was originally born in Iran, is this sister, Anousheh Ansari. So she's the first Muslima in space. And she went in 2006, but she was a female space tourist. From Malaysia was Sheikh Muzaffar Shukr, and he's the astronaut that he was kind of connected with the council of Malaysian scholars and international scholars to decide on the rulings. Then again from Kazakhstan, so Kazakhstan's actually spent quite a few, and then finally from the UAE, Hazza Al Mansouri.
Oh, that's very recent. Just
2019. That's September 2019. That was very
so there
recent.
Is some hope for us, huh?
There is some hope. And probably not for me, because I'm not a physical specimen. Maybe for you.
Well, I'm seasick, and I have asthma. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we need to think about those things. But I just, for me, it's just I find it so inspiring that there have been this amazing group of elite Muslim people who've been out there, who went in the name of, you know, furthering our knowledge and pushing boundaries, and, you know, like for many of them, I'm sure it's serving their countries as well, and ultimately serving the human race. So, like, maybe someone from our children's generation who is, you know, like, I don't want to get too specific about being someone Bengali, but many more Muslims, especially Muslims who are growing up in the States now, who are...
Well, I've my nieces, I've told them, you know, astronaut, why not?
Viable career option. Yeah. So, yeah, we're coming up to an hour now. Do you wanna close with any thoughts?
Not really.
To space!
And beyond!